Morning, dear students. Today's class is for class 9 and we are going to discuss a very interesting as well as important poem, that is the Lake Isle of Innisfree. So I welcome all of you. I hope you will be watching this video once it is posted. The Lake Isle of Innisfree. What exactly does this mean? You might be having a doubt here. What does this word isle mean? First, let us learn to pronounce this word correctly. It is not isle, but it is isle. And next we go to the meaning of the word. Isle means island. And you know what an island is. A small piece of land that is surrounded by water on all four sides. The Lake Isle of Innisfree. Now when we get to the full meaning, it goes this way. The Lake Island of Innisfree. Now what is this island of Innisfree and where is that? It is a real island. It is a real place. A place near the coast of Ireland. So it is a place. It is an island near the coast of Ireland. And it's situated or located near a lake which is known as Lake Logill. So if you want me to give a very short definition of this Lake Isle of Innisfree, this isle is nothing but an island, and the island is near a lake which is known by the name Lake Logill. So this Lake Logill is definitely near the coast of Ireland. W.B. Yeats is a poet who actually has written many poems. He is an intellectual poet. In this particular poem, The Lake Isle of Innisfree, the poet reminisces. What is the meaning of reminisces? He thinks about his childhood days. Now when you were in the lower classes like LKG and UKG and class 1, okay, you might have definitely gone through very interesting experiences. Childhood days are the best days in our life. And as students of class 9, if you would like to go back to the memory of those school days when you were in class LKG, UKG, class 1 and the primary classes, you might have several interesting experiences or happy experiences. So when you think of your childhood, when you think of the past, what you do is you reminisce. So reminiscing is nothing but thinking of the past. Now in this poem, The Lake Isle of Innisfree, the poet, W.B. Yeats thinks of his childhood. He reminisces, he thinks, and he becomes nostalgic. What is the meaning of nostalgia? When you think of your home and you become homesick, what happens is you become nostalgic. So nostalgic is a word, it's a word which talks about becoming homesick. Right. Now let us come to this particular point. City life and village life. If I may ask you a question as to which is better, the city life or the village life, you will have your own answers. Well, some may say village life is the best life because everything is fresh and pure and nothing is polluted. You get fresh air, fresh vegetables. You get to listen to the sounds of insects, birds, the rustling of leaves. So nature is present in its fullest form in village life. So some of you might say village life is the best life because it's not polluted. Life is peaceful in village. But some of you might not agree with that. You will have an opposite opinion saying that city life is the best life because you have all the modern facilities. You have all kinds of facilities to do your studies. You get all kinds of things. You have big shops, malls, okay? So there are lots and lots of places of entertainment, means of entertainment. Therefore, city life is the best life. So people differ in this opinion. Now, in this particular poem, W.B. Yeats is living in a city. The poet lives in a city, but he is not satisfied with the city life. He's not satisfied with the city life. Why? Because he is tired of the crowd and din. The poet is tired of the crowd and din, hustle and bustle of the city life. So a city life is a busy life. You have thousands and thousands, if not millions of vehicles crossing the roads every day. There is noise pollution, there is sound pollution. All kinds of pollutions can be seen. So there is a hustle and bustle. And the crowd and din. Crowd and din. It's always crowded. The life is crowded in the city life. But in village life, you have quiet, you have peace of mind, you have beauty, and you can enjoy everything in village life, and that brings joy. So the poet who's living in a city is fed up of the city life, and he longs for some quiet. He longs for some peace. He wants to experience some joy and happiness, and he thinks of the lake isle of Innisfree, and this is the place where he was born. But right now he is a man, maybe a man in his 40s or 50s, and still he is not satisfied with the present state of his life, that is the life in the city. He longs, he yearns to go to his village once again and enjoy the days in the village, enjoy the life in the village, and be with nature, and he likes to acquire some peace. That is the most important thing. He needs some inner peace, and he feels that village life can give you the peace and satisfaction that you can ever think of. So the poem is a reminiscing poem. What do you mean by reminiscing? You think of your childhood memories. You think of your childhood. The memories flood your mind, and therefore you become happy. So it's actually a reminiscing poem, and not only that, it's a lyric poem. What do you mean by a lyric poem? A lyric poem is a poem where expression of feelings are found. So what are feelings? Feelings of joy, the feeling of sadness, the feeling of expecting something, the feeling of hope, excitement. All these feelings are expressed in a lyric poem. So what is a lyric poem? A lyric poem is nothing but a poem that expresses many feelings. And not only that, the feelings are expressed in the first person. So, when we get into the poem, we'll understand the poet does the talking. The poet does the talking. So, he does all the talking by himself. There isn't a second person or a third person who's involved. He expresses all his feelings and longings and desires by himself. Therefore, this poem is known as a lyric poem. Right. Now look at this triangle. This has got something to do with the poem again. So what does this have to do with the poem? Look, the poet connects himself to three aspects. What are the three aspects? Hope, isolation, and nature. The poet feels lonely. He feels lonely in the city, not happy with his life, and therefore he longs to go to the isle of Innisfree where he can be all alone. So the dissatisfaction of city life makes him think about his hometown or the lake isle of Innisfree, and he feels like going to that particular place to be in isolation. He wants to spend his entire life, the rest of the life, there in the lake, Isle of Innisfree, and be happy and one with nature. So, the poet wants to go home. He wants to be alone in the lake Isle of Innisfree, and again, he wants to be with nature. What's special about this island, the lake Isle of Innisfree? It is nothing but an expression of nature. So when you go to this lake Isle of Innisfree, you will be one with nature. There will be bees, there will be butterflies, there will be linnets, the birds, there will be crickets, the insects, everything will be there. And the sunset and the sunrise is going to be all the more beautiful and breathtaking. So he loves to enjoy all these scenery, right? So the poet loves the nature, birds, insects, and plants, and he wants to be in union with nature, and therefore he loves the rustic life. What is the meaning of rustic life? Life in the village is a rustic life. He loves the rustic life and he hates the urban life. That is the most important thing. What's the rustic life and what's the urban life? Rustic life is a life in the village, and urban life is the life in the city. He does not like the urban life, but he longs for the rustic life. Okay, so keep these 3 points in mind. The poet feels homesick. He wants to be left in isolation with nature in his hometown. That is the lake Isle of Innisfree. Now, I have not gone into the poem. We will discuss the poem in the next class. But look at these points. These will help you to understand the poem in a better way. Number 1. The poet will go to Innisfree. The first line of the poem tells you, I will rise now and go to Innisfree. Innisfree is a real place, as I told you in the beginning of the class. A place near the coast of Ireland. And there is a lake by the name Lake Logan. And he says, I will go to my place. So, we must always be attached to the place where we are born, our birthplace. That is our root. That is the soil that gave us life. And we must be in close connection and in good relationship with the place that we are born. We must be attached to our place, the place of our birth. And this is a poem that illustrates that point. Then what will he do? He imagines he's actually standing on the middle of the road, probably on the motorway. Yes. If you read that, if you read the poem, you will understand. The poet is standing along the road and his mind just flies to the lake Isle of Innisfree. Body is here in the city, but the mind is in the village. That's the beauty of this poem. By standing on the road in a city, he thinks of his village, the village where he was born, and the natural beauty. So he will go to Innisfree, point number 1. Point number 2, he will build a cottage there. So you can't just go and remain there. You need a house. So he says, I will build a cottage myself. Clay and wattle. Clay you understand. That's mud. Wattle, what is wattle? You make small kind of a structure with sticks. You make a structure with sticks and tie the sticks, and after tying the sticks together, you apply mud on them. This is known as wattle. So he says, I will go to the lake Isle of Innisfree, build a small cottage that is of clay and wattle. Point number 2. Then he says, I will plant vegetables there. What kind of vegetables will he plant? It's nothing but the beans. 9 rows of beans. He says that he will plant 9 rows of beans. And he would enjoy plucking those beans and maybe making some dish out of that. So he will go to Innisfree, he will build a cottage, a cabin, a single row with clay and wattle, and he will plant 9 rows of beans. Then, along with the 9 rows of beans, there would also be a beehive. So he says, I'll make a beehive and get honey from the bees that come and settle down the bee. So a beehive would be made. So what is the advantage of making a beehive? You get to listen to the buzzing and droning of the bees, and not only that, you get honey given by the bees. So pure and healthy honey will the poet get. He will get an opportunity or a chance to listen to the buzzing and droning of the bees, and then he loves peace. The most important thing that he would get in the Lake Isle of Innisfree is nothing but peace of mind. So peace is what is required for every human being. Money cannot give you peace. Wealth cannot give you peace. They can fulfill your needs, but peace has to be experienced. Okay? So the Lake Isle of Innisfree, the birthplace of the poet, would give him peace, and he longs for peace. He's tired of the city life, the crowd and din, the hustle and bustle. Okay, and therefore he would leave the place, that is the city, and go to his birthplace. And what would he listen to? The poet is a lover of nature. He loves nature, so he says, at midnight I will see the stars, twinkling stars. Okay, and the beautiful stars, millions and millions of them on the sky, would give me great delight. It's nice to watch the night sky in a village. He will get a chance to watch those millions and millions of stars. And in the evening he will listen to the sounds of linnets. What do you mean by the word linnet? It is a small chirping bird which produces a sweet sound. So in the evening he would see hundreds and hundreds of linnets coming back home. They would be going towards their nests or their dwelling place. So he will get a chance of watching those birds. So these are some of the experiences that he would enjoy if he goes to the Lake Isle of Innisfree. Right? So before I wind up, let me give you a recap. The name of the poem is The Lake Isle of Innisfree, and the poet is W.B. Yeats. This is a lyric poem where the poet expresses his feelings, and the Lake Isle of Innisfree is a real place. It's situated in the coast of Ireland near a lake called Lake Logill. And the most important point to be remembered is the poet feels homesick. He wants some peace in isolation, and therefore he would go to his hometown or the birthplace, that is the Lake Isle of Innisfree, where nature would be found in abundance. So he would enjoy nature. Okay? He lives in the city, but his heart is in the village. So he thinks of the sweet memories of his childhood. He reminisces. It's a nostalgic poem which brings thoughts of his childhood and his hometown, and he goes back to think of his childhood, and therefore it's a poem that renews his childhood. We will discuss the poem in detail, stanza-wise, in the next class. Till then, go over these points, watch the video, you will get a better idea of the poem, and if you have any doubts, we can have those questions cleared in the Zoom class. So till then, stay safe at home and go over the poem. Good day to all of you.